All right, we are live. Hello and a very warm welcome to the to yet another insightful session of the Organic Majlis on Sustainable Living and Environment. This is a community initiative of the Organic and Natural Products Expo that has been bringing the business community together for the last 20 years through online platforms and at the annual face-to-face event in Dubai every year and in December. This year's expo is scheduled to take place between 13th and 15th of December 2022 at the Dubai World Trade Center and will be an ideal platform for you to showcase your sustainable living and eco-friendly products to close to 10,000 B2B buyers across the MENA region. Middle East's attitude towards sustainable living and environment is rapidly improving. A ban on single-use plastic bags in the UAE has been the latest by the government. All this with an aim to move to eco-friendly packaging and reusable bags. Consumers too have been receptive to the change. In fact, a good 28% of Gen Z in the UAE believe that green products are better for the environment than other regular alternatives. However, there's an acute supply shortage when it comes to natural eco-friendly products that help achieve sustainability and environmental friendly goals that we all have set for each other. On the other hand, government and non-governmental organizations in the Middle East have taken proactive steps to control the waste output by introducing sustainable energy and waste management projects. In fact, the UAE has achieved a 70% recycling rate in less than 10 years, reaching its goal of zero waste. An increasing number of firms in the Middle East are showing their commitment towards protecting the environment and fostering sustainability worldwide, some of whom we have today with us as panelists. Implementing environmental friendly policies and practices is also enabling these firms to differentiate themselves from the competition. For instance, the increased usage of eco-friendly molded pulp packaging is helping organizations to enhance their brand image while conserving energy and natural resources at the same time. Through the session, we're going to explore ways we can help MENA achieve its ambitious, sustainable, and environmental goals. Without further ado, please allow me to introduce you to our panelists for today's webinar. First off, we have Radhika Arapalli, who is the sustainability lead at Anantara Dubai and founder of Sustainability Kiosk. Sustainability Kiosk is a B2B marketplace, showcase sustainability solutions available in the local market for hospitality, commercial offices, and schools under 5 categories of energy efficiency, water, food and waste, consumables, cleaning, and services. Radhika also has several years of experience working in the hospitality industry and has very recently helped the Anantara Dubai, a luxurious property on the Palm, recycle more than 50% of the waste that is produced. Radhika, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. It's a pleasure to have you here, and I'm looking forward to what you have to share, and I'm looking forward to learning more about what work you've done at Anantara Dubai as well. Next up, we have James Scott, who's the CEO for retail at Grandiose Supermarkets. James provides advice and support across all areas of retail, wholesale, and distribution across the Asian region at Grandiose Supermarkets. A member of the Ghassan Abood Group, Grandiose is a premier quality food and grocery retailer that delivers a memorable multi-sensory experience and best-in-class service in a unique grocery shopping environment. Grandiose prides itself when it comes to sustainability so much that the company's key tagline is, "We are what we consume, shop responsibly." James, thank you so much for joining us for this particular session. I've personally been, I've been to Grandiose a couple of times, and I think I just love the entire experience that the supermarket has to offer. I think it takes grocery shopping to another level, and the entire environment and atmosphere that is created right from the setup to the products that are available. I think it's very nice to be there. So thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to hearing what you have to share this afternoon with us on this session.
Thanks, Shiraj.
Last but not the least, we have Pooja Escotia, who is the founder at Organic Living. Organic Living was born out of care and love for a mother It's a conscious effort to start building awareness of a healthy living and buying products which are organic, recycled, sustainable, as well as fair trade. In their efforts to build this, we are collaborating with some of the finest people around. From the European chill to the warmth to the Asian warmth, Organic Living works passionately to bring the best products to all of us. Organic Living also believes that the use of chemical not only harms one's health and skin, but also is slowly decaying this very earth that we call home. It is in their endeavor to bring a change and promote organic and eco-friendly products. Pooja, thank you so much for joining us at this session. I'm very excited to hear what you have to share. I think you have some brilliant products featured on Organic Living's website. And I do believe that you have wonderful feedback for each of these products, which are most of them, in fact, all of them rather, which are made of recyclable and sustainable material. So I'm excited and I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to share this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Suraj. I'm very glad that you selected Organic Living, and yes, we do work with products which are eco-friendly, recyclable, and we try and use zero plastic in everything that we do. So yes, I'm very glad. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Likewise, Pooja. All right, I'm going to get right into some of the key discussion points that we have scheduled for today. And first off, James, I'd like to come to you. Since you deal with consumers on almost a daily basis, what is the current attitude of consumers towards sustainability and eco-friendly products these days? And what has the pandemic meant? Have you noticed an uptick, or are you seeing a drastic change in this post-pandemic world that we're living in?
Thanks, Suraj. I think the first thing I'd sort of like to highlight is that Grandiose, since we started almost 5 years ago, sustainability was always a key pillar for our business. It was something that our founder and our chairman holds very close to his heart. So it's been something that we've been pushing as a retailer in the UAE for almost 5 years now. So it's a very important thing for us as a business. Now, I think what we've seen over those 5 years is a distinct change in terms of consumer behavior, and also a distinct change in the knowledge of people about sustainability and about sustainability products and about all these things that customers now need to think about. We've been following some of the surveys in the marketplace about sustainability, and there was a piece of research done recently by MasterCard where 74% of adults in the UAE expect businesses to be environmentally conscious. So this whole knowledge base of the environment, the whole knowledge of waste, the whole knowledge of understanding from a consumer perspective the damage we are doing to the environment is becoming much more prevalent and much more known throughout the market. And the same survey also showed that 28% of people are willing to boycott brands or to brand switch on the basis of not adopting sustainable behavior. So I think, first of all, from a retailer perspective, if you're not sustainably aware and you're not actually understanding that shift in behavior and mindset, then you're set up to fail. Now, what we've been doing as a business since we started is, we don't have plastic in our business. So irrespective of the changes we've seen on the single-use plastic, for Grandiose, we have only paper bags for our fruits and vegetables and our loose produce. We only have either sustainable jute bags or cotton bags at checkout, as well as paper. And we also have been following a very clear lead in terms of only using sustainable ocean recovered plastic for our shopping trolleys, investing significantly in efficient refrigeration, investing significantly in terms of LED, low energy consumption lighting. So, for us, it's part of our DNA to think about sustainability. But I think what we're now seeing is we're seeing this real shift in knowledge. So, we've had the change in legislation on carrier bags, which makes people much more aware about the issues with plastic. We're seeing the increase in oil prices and the issues we've seen with the Ukraine and Russia, driving up the knowledge and the understanding that we need to switch to sustainable fuels. We're seeing a real knowledge on customers when it comes to waste. So, what do we do with our waste? Do we reuse it in some way? How do we limit waste? So this change in knowledge of the customer means that we have to be much more conscious of the decisions we take. And if you look at the retail business, we talk about a lot of the good things we do, but at the same time, there's a huge amount of waste within the retail space. Packaging is a major problem. So how do we work with our producers and our vendors to reduce waste in packaging? How do we work with things like we sell a lot of ready meals and a lot of products in eat now packaging? How do we make sure it's reusable? And I think we as a retailer have to use our influence with the vendor base, with the suppliers, with the manufacturers to think about this change in behavior. So things are changing. And it's not going to change overnight, but the speed of change and the knowledge about sustainability is changing quickly. And I think retailers or companies, not just retailers, but any company involved in food has to think about sustainability and how you become waste aware, how you become much more in the decisions you take. How do you understand waste and how do you reduce it? So things are changing. We as a retailer have to be knowledgeable of that change, and we've got to take decisions that meet the knowledge of the customer and also show our investment in reducing waste. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's people are much more knowledgeable today. Knowledge is influencing decisions, and it's not only good for the environment, but it's a good commercial decision to be waste aware and environmentally conscious.
Awesome. Very interesting stuff there, James. It's good to know that we are changing and we're changing for good. Radhika, I'd like to come to you next. I know you've not only done some fantastic work at Anantara Dubai, but you also have a sustainability kiosk, which happens to be a marketplace for sustainable solutions. What is the current attitude that you're noticing when it comes to sustainability, eco-friendly products and the environment in general, and what sort of an impact has the pandemic had on this attitude of ours?
Thanks, Suraj. And I think I'd just like to clarify that Anantara has been the base for me to showcase what's worked, and Sustainability Kiosk is my baby, actually. It's launching soon next week. So stay tuned. I know it's online out there because we're testing few things, but launching soon. And the reason for doing this was precisely that there was lack of awareness. And when there's lack of awareness, especially in certain segments and certain sectors, then you're clueless in terms of what you want to do and what change has an impact. And sustainability is a buzzword. I mean, none of us grew up learning sustainability. We didn't have to probably back in our time. And also, we probably are very cautious, in my previous life, I was very mindful when I used the word sustainability because I was always careful that I would get it wrong. And I think there are many of us who are not really comfortable with the sustainability narrative, which is about, we are scared about talking about scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 emissions. What is organic? What's natural? What's the difference between the two? And I think that's why sustainability is probably misunderstood or understated. And that's where it's most important that we all actually understand what sustainability means and get comfortable with it. And to spread awareness on this subject, I first started doing the podcast, which is the Sustainability Stories podcast. And from that, I realized that, through a way of telling a story, through a way of speaking to people like James, speaking like Pooja on a one-to-one basis, you really got to demystify one topic. And I think what you're doing today, and actually get sustainability closer to what anyone can do in anyone's daily life. And if you ask me what change I'm seeing, I think our awareness has increased, but we're still learning. Like, I feel sustainability is such a vast field. There's so many technologies, so many things, and it's contextual. What's applicable in one place doesn't hold true for someone else living somewhere in a cold country. So I think everything's got to be seen in the context of it. And the most important way you start off with is awareness. So to me, what's changing is awareness is certainly increased, but I think there's a lot of gap there in terms of awareness. And once you're on board with awareness, the next bit, what comes, and right on what James actually said, is measurement. As a supermarket, it's very refreshing to hear that Grandiose knows how much waste they produce, what is it in terms of how are they waste averse, what are they doing in terms of plastic. But how many businesses actually are aware of their actions, are aware what impact they have? And I think that's one thing. If there were two things, I know you asked me for one, and now I give you two. If there were two things, I think we should be aware. And the second one is, after you are aware of things, start measuring. Start measuring, and that would be your first point to get started on sustainability.
Great. I think that's a wonderful point there, Radhika. Pooja, I'm going to come to you next. I know you've started Organic Living and quite a while ago, if I'm not wrong, 6 years ago.
Yes.
So you've been on this journey for quite some time now, and I think and you've sort of seen both sides where sustainability was just starting to become, like Radhika mentioned, the buzzword. Up until now, where we're seeing people sort of adopt a sustainable lifestyle. So what difference or have you noticed, and what sort of attitude are you looking at when it comes to your consumers? How are they responding to your products, and what are they saying to you?
Initially, so yes, you're right. I started in 2016. In October, Organic Living started. The idea was to bring in ready-to-wear everyday products, lifestyle products, which are made out of organic cotton, and sustainability, which includes natural products, which are either made using recycled material or which can be recycled. They are biodegradable. So there are many factors, and of course, local, because when a product is local, that also falls into the category of being sustainable. So when I started, of course, there were very few of us in the small businesses, very, very few. And there were many eyebrows raised that, really, you want to get into organic and sustainable? Like, you're in Dubai, why there's a need for organic and sustainable? But I felt there was a need. I could see a lot of plastic around. I could see, a lot of waste in the fashion world, a lot of fast fashion. And I just felt that as a mother, because my kids were too young, and I just felt that, there is no end to how much we can consume. As long as you're able to buy, you're just buying things, not realizing whether it has a use, it has a purpose for you, and where is it going? Is it going in the landfill? Is somebody going to use it? So there were many questions that I asked, and that's how Organic Living started. We worked with a lot of people, tried to find the authentic organic, because it's not easy. There's so much of greenwashing. People say, oh, we are selling organic cotton. But when you ask for the certification, they do not have the certification. They don't understand what is GOT certification when they are selling organic products. They call their product sustainable, but it's packed in plastic. Most of the elements are plastic. Then how is it sustainable? Is the plastic recycled? No, the plastic is not recycled. So it was very challenging in the beginning, the couple of years. And now the switch that I see, at least now people get the sense when I'm talking sustainable and organic. They understand what I'm talking about. I like doing marketplaces. So that's where I get to meet people, because my store is online. Of course, I sell on Carrefour, Amazon Noon, and we were also part of Expo. But when you get to meet people, initially, it used to take a lot of time to make them understand that we are doing it for the environment. Because at the end of the day, all this, what we are consuming, is going somewhere. Either it's going in the ocean or it's going in the landfill. But now when I talk, people understand. They are looking for products which are made out of natural materials. They are looking for products which are not a cheap knockoff of something. So there is a huge shift in the last 6 years. And I would say after the pandemic, the awareness and this conscious living has come in play. People are much more conscious of their health, the health of their family, and they are conscious about the environment because they realize that somewhere, we all have contributed to what the world is right now. So if all of us put in the effort, things are going to get better. And I see that shift, especially in the wellness, sector. I see the huge shift, how people are opting for healthy options, whether it comes to food, the clothing they are wearing, they are going in for organic products much more, the makeup they are using, or the products they are bringing home. Gardening is huge now. Everybody wants to have plants in their house. Everybody wants to have the fresh, feel, whether they are living in an apartment or in big villas. So yes, I've noticed a huge shift in the last 6 years, and I'm very happy. I'm very happy that even if it's new, the way the people of UAE have taken this, they are accepting this change and they're willing to make the lifestyle changes. I'm really happy that consumers are aware now and they are ready to make these changes and buy from small businesses and from stores, big stores, but look for organic products, look for products which have a conscious meaning behind. So I'm very happy.
Awesome, Pooja. I think you mentioned something very, very important. That's about greenwashing and certification. Hopefully, if we have time on this particular webinar later in later stages of this webinar, we'll definitely address that. I think it's a big issue that all of us here are facing.
Yeah.
But for now, I'd like to stay on with you, Pooja, and sort of move to the second part of this question. That's what demand are you seeing for your products across what categories are you seeing most demand for? I know you have yoga mats. I know you have a load of I saw DIY gardening kits as well. But what categories are you seeing most demand for?
So if we were to talk about organic living, we have huge demand in the gardening sector. So our gardening category is completely sustainable, I would say, because every element is made in UAE. We are sourcing the soil from here. We are sourcing the organic seeds, the organic soil, the clay pots which are made. They are handmade clay pots made in UAE. So this has attracted a lot of consumers, especially parents. There are so many parents who are buying these because they want their kids to learn gardening now. So gardening is a very huge category which has taken shape in organic living. And other than that, wellness, as I shared with you. So yoga category, because everyone I know is in yoga now. Everybody is into fitness. And everybody is conscious now of the yoga mat they are using, because they realize that yoga is not just about, be able to stand in a certain way or to be able to mold your body in a certain way. They realize that the mat that they are using, it lasts 3 months, then they throw it away because it's PVC or TPE, and then they bring in a new one. So the change has happened now. People are aware that what they need to buy has to be made out of natural materials because it is available. Earlier the perception was that, there's nothing available, so we have to rely on what is there. But now natural materials are available. Like, it took me almost 1 year to be able to make, but so we have these amazing natural rubber mats. The rubber is taken from the natural trees and it's infused with jute. Again, a super sustainable option, a super natural option. Same goes for the cork. It comes from the oak cork tree. The tree is going to grow to the bark again, and we again going to take out the cork and make the mat. So sustainable options are available in the market. So there is a huge shift. People are really keen on the gardening and the yoga category in organic living. We were doing a lot in organic clothing earlier, but now I think there's a huge availability everywhere, even with big brands. Now they are bringing organic clothes for the children. So now I see a huge demand for home decor. I would say, the recycled baskets and things like that. But yoga, wellness, and gardening, these are huge for us.
Great. I'm not really into gardening or yoga, but I'll make sure
You
to check
should.
it out.
You should.
For sure. Radhika, I'd like to come to you next, and ask you what categories of products under sustainable and eco-friendly are you seeing most traction for?
See, look, I'll be honest. I work in a B2B market. In a B2B market, what's happening is the focus is still on energy savings, because buildings as such are commercial buildings, are huge energy guzzlers still in Middle East here. So a lot of focus continues to be this evergreen items of how do I get, because energy savings is equivalent to cost savings. So that would never change, because everyone understands that that has a ROI, profitability is high on the segment. But apart from energy saving category, the next category is really determined by what happens in the environment and garment regulations. Now with Dubai Can, with what's happened with a lot of initiatives that are coming top down, all hotels necessarily want to start having a bottling plant in-house. So water is the next category that's coming up too, because hotels are looking at following what's been coming down to them, or regulated more or less, and turn off using single-use plastics, which I think is really brilliant, because single-use plastic from water bottles is really hazardous. And if we can have a bottling plant and ensure that we're able to get water across to all the rooms, to the guests staying in-house, then that's brilliant. So I think if you ask me which categories, it's still looking at energy, water. And the third one, which is slowly coming up, is on the amenities. Again, amenities, because we were looking at working on single use, and all of the major global brands have now cut down on what do they want to use with single use plastics. And as a directive, people are now looking at what other alternatives exist in this market. And I want to be able to tell a story. So they're looking at what alternatives can I get in terms of, they're starting to look at, are they vegan friendly? Are they cruelty free? How do we ensure that the dispensing happens in a holistic cans versus single use? And are they recyclable or not? So these questions are being asked at the minute, which is really nice to hear. And it's wonderful, like Pooja said, probably a couple of years ago, these products didn't exist. But it's nice to see that there's an ecosystem that says that these products are locally available, that you could actually buy a bamboo toothbrush, which is not going to blow up your pocket, because you would think, oh my God, bamboo toothbrush are so expensive, maybe 6-7 years ago. But now bamboo toothbrush are affordable. It's not something that you would think twice before buying. The price sensitivity of that means that you would put that in your shopping basket and continue to use. And I think that probably determines also where are we in terms of categories that are doing well versus not doing well.
Awesome, Radhika. Thanks for that. I think I 100% agree with what you have to say, especially with the energy bit of it. I think we have one of the highest per capita when it comes to energy consumption in the Middle East, and for sure looking forward to sort of reducing that and coming up with much more sustainable ways in which we can probably cool ourselves and consume energy. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, there's a category actually which I've looked at recently, which is gaining, those niche customers are asking for, is air quality. Air quality, especially in hospitality, is very important. And as we know, in the recent months, there was so much study conducted. And what we realized is that of the 11 million deaths globally that happen, 7 million are due to indoor air quality. So if you look at those stats, you actually see how indoor air quality has a huge impact on person's health and well-being. And we're slowly starting to see, you can see on the consumer side too, like Dysons of the world are now getting into indoor home environment air purification systems. And so are the big chains like hospitality slowly turning to see what can we do to ensure that the quality of air in the room is actually friendly, is chemical free. And I think especially coming post-COVID world, it's very important that this is I think it's got potential to actually go further. Our understanding of air quality and what does this have to do with the environment that we live in.
Oh, that's very interesting, Radhika. I think, definitely indoor air quality is something that we're definitely seeing we see a lot of companies trying to, send in their products as well. So I have to completely 100% agree with you on that. All right, James, I'd like to come to you next. I know that you retail a lot of stuff when at Grandiose when it comes to sustainable and eco-friendly products, be it with the cleaning section, with dishwashing light from the dishwashing liquid to window cleaners, surface cleaners. So many of them are natural and organic. But I'd like to know from you exactly as to what categories of products are you seeing most demand for when it comes to sustainable and eco-friendly?
Okay, thanks, Suraj. Let me put it very simply. If you make it easy for a customer to switch and to move into sustainable products, then they'll switch. So it's all, for me, it's about making it easy. It's about making product available. It's about making product affordable. And it's also about making sure that you have good quality products in the organic sector. Now, we perform incredibly well in food, in the basic ambient food categories. So as a retailer, and maybe it's to do with our type of customer and the fact that they're already conscious about sustainability and they're probably more aware of this and their commercial decisions are more aware, we're seeing huge increases and really strong performance in the basic food categories. And that's everything from sort of sauces, rice products, basic raw materials and raw products for cooking. And that's our sort of standard bearer in terms of the organic space. Now, one of the areas where we don't perform very well, and I think that's also down to us, is in the area of chemicals and in the area of the sort of cleaning materials and the whole cleaning section and cleaning category. So we're working at the moment with a number of our suppliers to think about how we can be more sustainable in this space and how we can be more eco-conscious. So at the end of the Q4, we've got 12 new stores opening between now and the end of the year. And we're going to be launching a new cleaning concept and a new category, a new space where we'll be much more focused on trying to push eco-friendly products. So today, our main area is in the sort of food categories, but I think in the future and in the very near future, we're going to see a big increase in the areas of cleaning, chemicals, and this space. So I think that's, as a retailer, we've got to continuously improve, and we've got to look at the areas in which we underperform and then do something about it. And that's an area we're looking at between now and the end of the year, but also listening to the other panelists. It's interesting to hear about bottled water. It's interesting to hear about what people are doing in other space, whether it's hospitality or online. And I think we as a retailer, as more of a bricks and mortar retailer, have to look at what we can learn from those other spaces. So one of the areas we're looking at is water. We're looking at the products that we're selling. We're looking at the possibilities of refill, the possibilities of moving towards a more sustainable approach, whether it's with reusable glass for water products or some way of refillable. So I think we've got to, it's not about what we're doing today. It's maybe more about what we need to do tomorrow. And that's how I'd look at it.
Awesome, James. It's very interesting to note Grandiosa's plans, especially when it comes to the chemical side of things. I'm pretty sure people would definitely look forward to seeing some of those products on your shelves. James, I'd like to come back to you and sort of ask you on the single-use plastic ban and what that's meant. I know that at Grandiose, ever since you've opened, you don't really promote plastic bags, but now that the mandate is in by the government, I'd like to know what sort of a knock-on effect this is going to have on all other packaging material that is made out of plastic.
Okay, this decision to ban plastic, I think, has been a huge benefit for the move towards more sustainability. We've watched from afar as somebody who's very sustainably aware. And we've done the calculations. Since we opened, we've saved 15. We've basically saved use of 15 million carrier bags out of plastic by having paper and pushing down this route. So we're a relatively small retailer. So saving 15 million plastic bags in 5 years, with the whole industry shift, the saving on plastic, on single-use plastic in carrier bags is a monumental benefit to sustainability in the UAE. So I think, hats off to the government on this decision. I think it was really a big decision and a big driver of behavioral change. Now, what's going to happen next is in Grandiose, we've just from 1st of October changed the plastic that we're using in all of our ready-to-eat category, and our sort of eat now category. So where we're selling salads, where we're selling sandwiches, where we're selling hot food, we've just moved to new packaging, which is fully sustainable. And that was a relatively easy decision. We've had to go through quite a number of tests to check for whether the quality was good enough to meet the needs of the customer. So we're changing our packaging as we speak to further reduce single-use plastic. And as I mentioned earlier, we're moving with a number of our vendors to reduce packaging through the supply chain. So, I think the next step in this is things like grab and go and eat now categories. It's moving to more sort of less packaging within consumer goods. It's shelf-ready packaging. It's loose product and how you can present in a different way. And I think the next 12 to 18 months, we'll see a lot of changes in what retailers are doing in the packaging space, driven by the awareness that's come through plastic bags. I think people are willing now to change. They're much more aware. I see customers coming into our stores with very nice, almost fashionable jute bags. Today, we've just launched a jute carrier bag, and we've changed. This whole change has led to us to change what we're selling. So our reusable carrier bags have beautiful designs. They have space for a mobile phone, and we're making it easier for the customer to switch. And I think all of this knowledge is just gonna really speed up the change in packaging throughout retail. I think it's really, this has been the trigger, moving away from single-use plastic. This for me has been the trigger to make retailers think differently about packaging.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Thanks for sharing that, James. Radhika, I'd like to come to you next. What sort of an impact has the ban of single-use plastic had when it comes to hospitality? Since you work in that space quite a lot, what's the difference, and what sort of a knock-on effect are you seeing on other sort of sustainable packaging material?
I think in terms of plastic bag individually, hospitality doesn't do much of giveaways, or the use of plastic is not there much in terms of customers coming with goods. So I would say medium to no impact, but the impact is much more like what James said. It's in people's minds. So it's consumers walking in. It's what the ecosystem is. And I think the ecosystem certainly helps push boundaries into overall packaging, into overall takeaways, goodie bags, and that sort of impact. The ripple effect, as we call it, is what I'll wait to see now, because that's come probably 2 months on, and hopefully as the months go by, as it becomes a natural habit for us, it'll start having a ripple effect on a lot of other secondary things that happen in hospitality. But because of lack of usage initially, I don't think it had as much as what I say the bottling plant had or something else has had.
All right. Pooja, what are your thoughts on this? What does the ban on single-use plastic mean for you and organic living? What sort of a reaction has that meant for you and the business?
See, as a business, we had introduced the cotton bags, the natural cotton bags in different sizes for the customers. We do the small linen bags, which are basically for your grocery shopping. So when you go for shopping, you don't take the plastic bag, which is available usually in supermarkets, to put your grocery in. We do those bags. So the demand for those bags definitely has gone up. Thanks very much to the government for banning the single-use plastic. And the people are aware now that if they have those bags with them, the organic cotton and the cotton bags, it's much more easier, it's convenient to store. Everyday life, it becomes hassle-free, because the life of that plastic bag in which you would bring in your vegetables was how long? For perhaps an hour. You shop, you come home, and then you empty it and it goes in the bin. So that has impacted. People are much more aware now. They are trying to carry their own bags, but not everybody. There are still a lot of people who are happy to just take the plastic bag and put the vegetables in. So the shift will take time, but like James and Radhika said, at least the awareness is there. The acceptance, when the government announced that they're going to ban the plastic, it means there is a problem, right? That's why this has come to the notice, and that's why it has been announced that, okay, the single-use plastic will be banned. Now, there are variations available in the market for the single-use plastic, what kind of plastic you can use. There are compostable bags which are available. So most of the supermarkets are opting for that. So it does look like plastic, but it's a compostable bag. So you could put it in the garden compost and it composts. It does not biodegrade by itself. There are ways of, we as Organic Living, we also work with different customers and supply them these packaging solutions. So there is a shift. People are aware now. They are going in for the cotton bags or the jute bags. They are trying to carry their own bag, especially big families, I feel, are making more efforts because the consumption was very high. So shift is there. Organic Living, we are getting orders. We are getting more queries on bulk orders for these kind of bags, jute bags, cotton bags, shopping bags. So the demand has changed versus what it was before the ban on the plastic.
Awesome. Good to know that the shift.
Sorry, Suraj. Can I just come back on one of those, on one of the topic of carrier bags?
Yes.
Sure.
First of all, I think we as retailers have also had to change our mindset with these bags. So, not everybody wants to carry the same type of bag as well. So what we've done is we've introduced 3 different types of bag. We have a sort of budget cotton entry point at 1 dirham. We have a slightly more expensive, slightly bigger bag for 3 dirham. And we have a much better quality jute bag for 10 dirham with a design. And every time you bring that bag into our store, we give you a 1 dirham discount. So basically the idea and the concept is shop 10 times and your bag's free anyway. Now, I think what it's also done as the government, we used to sell one type of reusable bag. We were paper and we were one type of reusable bag, but not everybody wants the same type of reusable bag. And the 1 dirham bag you can sort of scrunch up and put in your pocket, or you can put it in your purse. It's a relatively small type of bag, but it's handy to have. And the bigger 10 dirham bag is something you can sort of throw over your shoulder and almost do a full shop in one bag. So, this change has made us think completely different. Different customers need different types of bags. We also need that, as I mentioned earlier, you make it accessible. So, as I said, we're given 1 dirham discount. So if you shop or bring your bag 10 times, it's effectively free anyway. So as retailers, we've started to think about the customer more, and we've also started to think about how we can make those bags, 1, more usable, 2, more accessible, and 3, more of your sort of everyday thing. In your car, you've always got a reusable bag. In your handbag or computer bag or wherever, you might have a scrunched up cotton bag. But it's all about this change of behavior that comes as you make these changes. And as long as you do it, customer driven, you build that knowledge and that understanding and that awareness, it's progress, and we're going to see more and more of that. And I think it's important to make the point that we as retailers are now looking much more customer driven at sustainability, much more about how we need to lead the way rather than follow the rules. And I think that's another important fact. In the past, it was, they changed the law, we changed the way we work. No, we've got to take a leadership position to actually lead the way and not have legislation forcing us to lead the way, or forcing us to follow, sorry. And I think that's a big thing that everybody in business, not just retailers, we've got to lead the way in terms of thinking sustainably rather than following direction from government or from legislation. And I think that's something to really make an important point on.
Awesome, James. Thanks for adding that. I think that the point where you mentioned about awareness is it's wonderful to see, and I think we are definitely getting more aware as the days progress. Pooja, I'd like to come to you. Now that you've mentioned that you've seen a lot of demand for your cotton bags and because of the single-use plastic. But there is demand for products out there which we definitely see a short supply for. What are some of those products, and what do you think these products are at the moment?
For me, because the categories that organic living offers, we are able to get everyday use products. What I feel is a challenge is sustainable packaging. I believe it's a big challenge. So we work with B2B and B2C both. We work with businesses as well. We work on bulk orders, with different studios, yoga studios. We work with resorts. So we work with different clients. We work with beauty brands. Sustainable packaging is one of the most challenging things for me. When customers are looking for packaging bags, they want to redesign, how their store is managing. Right now, they are working with normal bags and they want to now go in for FSC paper, for example. And they want FSC certified paper, and that's what they want to bring in because they want to become sustainable and they want to contribute to, sustainable brand that they want to become. And it's so challenging to find that in UAE. The supply is less, the price is skyrocketing. I mean, nobody will buy that as a bag to give away to the customer for free. The expense, it's really expensive. So sustainable packaging for me, it's a big challenge. Like when we shop in Europe or you see makeup brands, everybody is using bamboo. So there is a lot of use of bamboo. There's a lot of use of cardboard. Even the lipsticks, the deodorants, everything comes in cardboard packaging now. You use your product and you throw it. It does not come in plastic. So when I try to work on that for a client, it's not available. And even to source from outside, it's really challenging because by the time you ship and you bring it, you lose the purpose of it being sustainable. Because the amount of, it's this big box, but the airfare that I've given for this, is much more. So I lose sustainability. It becomes super expensive. So sustainable packaging is one of the categories which I find super challenging. Brown paper bags, yes, we are finding everywhere. The cardboard, the brown boxes for the food, yes, those are available. The bamboo plates are available. People are organizing kids' birthday parties. They are using disposable bamboo plates. Those are easy things. But when it comes to actual packaging material, it's super difficult, very challenging.
Right. I completely agree with the packaging part. I think we work with a lot of clients ourselves for the Organic and Natural Products Expo. And I think this is one of the biggest areas, especially in the past 2 months, that they highlight to us that they're facing a challenge with. And they come to us saying, if you have any suppliers, connect them with us. So I completely understand. I completely agree with you on that. Radhika, what are your thoughts on this? I know, when it comes to the HoReCa sector and hotels, there's a lot that you want to source locally, but you can't. So that you're forced to sort of bring it from outside of the country. But what sort of products or materials that hotels use these days that is in short supply, and that you would like to see more of?
I think everyone agrees, especially with supply lines being impacted over the last 2 years. Packaging is no doubt one of the biggest questions we get. Especially, you have awareness coming up on one side, on the other side, you have supply chain being impacted. So that's creating that, this push and demand factors from both sides not able to meet. And when it comes to packaging, as you learn things in sustainability, you then start learning so many things. Like, you would think a package is sustainable, but then you start to ask these questions. Is it biodegradable? Is it compostable? Is it home compostable versus commercial compostable? And there are huge difference between these three segments. And I'm just talking about the macro segments. If you go to micro level, again, there's so many differences. And I think at the minute, Horeca is only scratching the surface by saying, are we being sustainable in our packaging? But I don't think they are looking at the entire chain of events to actually see what kind of packaging am I taking? Actually, how do I dispose of this package? Because ideally what we should have is, depending on what they have, what environment they have, if they have a composting firm that can take the composting, can it handle the packaging or not? And if it's biodegradable, then we should actually have it sent to a proper unit for it to be recycled. But I think there's an issue of where we've quickly adapted to sustainable packaging. But my fear is there's nothing being done at the end of the cycle unless it goes into the UAE waste to energy plant. But entities as such are not recycling it enough. And that's where I think my doubts and concerns lay.
All right. I think, I'm definitely, I think we're going to see a lot of work the Horeca sector will be doing in the coming few months. Let's hope. I'm pretty sure people like you would definitely be willing to help them out when it comes to that. So I'm looking forward to that. James, what are your thoughts on this? What sort of eco-friendly products are people looking for currently that are in demand, but you're not able to sort of stock or shelf in your supermarkets?
It's really interesting to listen to the other panelists on these challenges. We really went through a difficult process to find the right packaging for our disposable trays and disposable packaging for the grab and go and eat now product. So we eventually found a product which is molded fiber pulp, which also has a PLA laminated pulp from a company called Sabert. Now, I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but the process and the time it took for us to find these suppliers and find something that was truly compostable took really much longer than it should do. So, we've gone through that journey over the last 4 or 5 months, and we're putting it in place now. Now it's a fully compostable product, and it's cost a little bit more money, but it's the right thing to do. But the other problem you have is it may well be compostable, but if it's not being, recycled or separated, then it could anyway end up into landfill. We're doing the right thing, but it doesn't end up in landfill. It ends up in landfill, or it ends up not being recycled or composted. So I think there's a real need for education in terms of how we recycle, how we reuse packaging, or how we recycle packaging. Now, the biggest challenge for us is we've gone through that process where we own the supply chain. We're very fortunate in that we own a catering company. So all of those food products we package ourselves. So we can actually invest the time, the energy, and the effort, and maybe pay a little bit more money to create a sustainable solution for our customer. But 90% of the product that we sell, somebody else is producing. So, it's about then how do we leverage our size and scale? How do we make our vendors and suppliers understand that sustainability is important? And I think that's the biggest challenge we face at the moment is how we can force them to change. Where we own the supply chain and where we're involved in the supply chain, it's an easy decision. How do we influence further up the supply chain where we don't own the vertical supply integration? We don't own it, we can't change it. So it's something that for us is important. It's something that we're trying to influence, but it's really influencing, and we need to find like-minded companies to do that. And again, going back to the awareness question, more and more companies are aware. So we've got multiple projects with partners, which hopefully will result in more sustainable packaging and will result in more eco-friendly packaging. But again, it takes a little bit of time. It's not easy. Availability of suppliers and manufacturers of reusable packaging is difficult in UAE. We've then got the challenge of supply chain from Europe or from US where these products are produced. But it's a journey. You know, there's not going to be a tipping point where all of a sudden everything changes. It's a journey in which we can influence and we can push. And we just have to try and leverage our size and our message to get other like-minded companies to change.
All right, James. Thanks for sharing your thoughts on that. I think some brilliant points there. I think, dear panelists, this brings us to the end of the first half of this discussion. We're going to have a very, very short networking break at the moment. I would request you to stay on the same call, and you may wish to switch your video off, and we should be back shortly after this quick video.
We've found UAE partners. We've also found people coming from Iran, from Oman, from Qatar, Saudi Arabia, lots of places. Pretty good so far. We are in the third day, and we've already met lots of partners. Also, the organization has been really helpful with us, so we are pretty grateful.
To be honest, Ukraine is the first on the world in exporters of organic products. And after we had a survey with the Ukrainian companies, we understood that the Middle East is the second market we would like to open. That is why we are here and trying to find our partners. I think it was perfect. You know, we had only 3 months to organize this pavilion, and as you see, it's working great. We had a lot of contacts and potential buyers, so I think we'll communicate further. And for the next year, I think we'll also plan this exhibition to participate here.
It was a good experience. We would repeat it next year probably with our distributor. You see, I think that the kind of audience that we met is pretty diverse, and this is what is also interesting, right? On one side, we met consumers. They're going to buy on our website because in 2 days we're going to launch e-commerce. We met also distributors, not just for the UAE, but in general for the GCC countries. We're looking for someone in Saudi Arabia. We're looking for someone in Qatar. So we definitely are going to be here next year with our UAE distribution. And then we met a few retailers, and this is why, you know, I think that there's a lot to build into the retail side of the business to, you know, meet the market trends and then starting opening up the real organic stuff in the UAE. Clear progression to the future, and I think that that's the step forwards that retailers in the UAE and then also in Saudi Arabia will have to face over the next future.
Really nice. In fact, we are super happy because we receive really good potential clients thanks to the organization, because you come with nice people, and I hope that we will finish and with good deal and with good sales. Discuss with our team, we are super happy, and maybe we will come next year. So we need to study the strategy, but I guess that this is one of the best events, one of the best fairs, regarding organic and cosmetics. UAE mainly, but from Kuwait, from Saudi Arabia, even from India, Pakistan, Iran, so all the area, not just from here, from Dubai or UAE, but from all the area. So that is really, really nice, because in one point you can meet people from different countries. So that's fantastic.
It's obvious. Currently, organic and natural trends are growing up everywhere in the world, especially here in the Middle East. We understood that Russia has not only the great potential, but the actual products which are getting produced in the entire Russia. We have 85 regions in Russia, and all of them have really natural and unique products. And we thought, like, why not bring them to UAE as the entry point for the entire Middle East? That's why, as of now here, we're available with 42 companies from Russia.
All right, I think we're back. I think we've had a wonderful first half discussion here. Some brilliant points by all of the panelists. I've been enjoying myself hearing from each and one of you, giving your different perspectives on the sustainability aspect of things. But I'd like to go into something that Pooja highlighted at the start of this discussion, and that's about certification and labeling. I think, Pooja, you did mention that there's a lot of certification issues. You're facing a lot of greenwashing when it comes to a lot of products, so on and so forth. So I'd like to ask you, certification, labeling, and product registration. How important are these aspects for you as a business owner to sort of source your products, and what sort of certification or labeling do products or exporters need to sort of work with you and list their products on your website?
See, organic living works primarily with organizations that have the GOT certification for organic cotton. It's a registration which is easily available. They are able to, show the certificate. Then there is the fair trade. So if you're registered with the fair trade, which basically means that the people who are working with you, if there is a manufacturing unit in India, let's say, from whom, we are working on certain products, they are able to showcase that, yes, they are registered with fair trade, which means that the people who are working with them, there is no child labor. The people who are working under fair conditions. They are paid the right salary for their work. They are given their, the weekly offs. The overall environment is clean for them to work in, in terms of the exposure to chemicals and the toxins, especially when you're in the cotton industry, when the cotton is spun and everything. So the fiber is there, there's a lot of dust in the air. So when we say fair trade, so these conditions are taken care of. GOT certificate also does that. GOT certificate you receive when all of these points are ticked off, by the certification board. So for me as organic living, it's very important because when I started organic living, I wanted to make sure that if I say I'm giving you organic product, I am giving you an organic product, because as an organization, we believe in not lying to our customers. Because at the end of the day, I am a consumer myself with different brands, and I trust them. When they say that they are selling organic, I want to trust them. But because I have far more knowledge, let's say, as so I check that when you say organic, is it really organic? Because it's very easy to write on a label, organic cotton, this is the price, this is the brand. There is no certification, there are no details which qualifies to make that product organic. So for me as an organization, it's very important, because if I am working with a client who has a bulk order of ready to wear, let's say with me, and they ask, okay, Pooja, we want organic. I want to make sure that if the tray is down, I am able to supply them the certificate and say that, see, it is 100% authentic. You can go online on the websites, you can write down and you can check if the organization that you are working with, or the supplier that you are working with, manufacturer you are working with, if they are registered or not. It comes down to your own ethics. If you are ethical, if you are calling yourself ethical, as Organic Living does, I want to make sure I have certification from everyone I work with. It's very easy for somebody to lie and say that it is organic cotton. That how will she know? I'm just going to stitch the label saying God's organic, right? And it is a fact. It's very common practice. So for me, it's very important, if I'm working with some organization, I want to make sure they have the right certifications so that what I sell is authentic and I do an ethical business. There is greenwashing. I would say greenwashing because if you go around in the market, you go to any store, you will read written green, eco-friendly, biodegradable, right? If you have a lunchbox, let's say for an example, if it was just last week, there was a lunchbox, very beautiful beige color lunchbox for kids. It has the packaging, which had flowers and green and eco warrior, and it said eco-friendly, and down it said plastic. So what is eco about it? That it's an eco lunchbox. It's a small lunchbox. There was nothing economic. There was nothing eco-friendly about that lunchbox. It's not like the plastic was recycled. So there is a lot of greenwashing for people who don't have the time. They would just look at that and they'll say, oh, it's eco-friendly. Okay. Because they are aware they want to make the switch, but then there is so much greenwashing. And there are so many products, Suraj, if I start, in terms of packaging, you were talking, right? So if you go to the markets now, they have stopped the single-use plastic, but then there are the woven bags. What is that woven bag made out of? It's plastic with cotton fiber. So it is there, a different variant has come of plastic. So a lot of awareness has to be created among the consumers. And as business, I take the responsibility to create awareness through our social media pages and blogs and everything among our customers. So for me, when I'm working with somebody, I need to make sure they have the certificates because I don't want to lie to my customers. As simple as that.
Awesome, Pooja. Thanks for sharing these insights. We have a lot of products that are organic and natural, and then we have a lot of issues with certification as well. This is also one of the biggest questions that suppliers always ask us about what sort of certifications and product registration and labeling requirements do they need to meet in order to start working with people like yourselves. So I think that answers a lot of questions of the audience that are watching right now and are sort of looking to expand into the Middle East. James, I'd like to come to you next. I know you work with a lot of suppliers, and most of whom obviously are not based here, probably based outside of the country, or some of them outside of the region as well. What sort of product certification, labeling, and other legal requirements are you looking at in order to onboard them as a supplier?
Thanks, Suraj. So from our side, we don't directly get involved in pushing vendors in terms of certification. When we deal with a vendor, we obviously follow all of the legal requirements and all of the checks in terms of the legalities. But I think for us, it's less about selecting companies with certification, but more about finding companies who have, one, the right mindset, but also are fit what we're looking to be. And I'll give you a very good example. 90% of the food stuff in the UAE is imported. So obviously that creates a lot of packaging, it creates a lot of additional cost with logistics, it creates a lot of issues in terms of this whole element of food security. how do you maintain supply chain, and how do you maintain availability for the customer? So one of the things that we're pushing to do with our buyers is to buy local. So this whole push about identifying good quality local suppliers, whether we're talking about fruits and vegetables and produce, or whether we're even talking about packaged food products, but we're really pushing to buy within the UAE or within the GCC region, because one, the supply side is more consistent. It's obviously easier to manage the supply chain. The product arrives quicker. There's less cost in terms of the fuel that it takes to get the product into the country, and the complexity of the whole supply chain. So for us, it's less about finding vendors who have a certain certification, but it's more about finding suppliers where we can be more environmentally conscious, we can buy more locally sourced, we can buy with vendors and partners who are within the region, because that takes, one, it reduces the cost, two, it reduces our carbon footprint, and three, the consistency of availability should improve and should be something we can control. So, this is the more important thing for us. It's about finding more local suppliers and finding more vendors within the region who we can build relationships with and who we can influence more, because our voice is louder within the UAE than it might be in Europe, in Australia, in the US, or in Asia. So more about buying local, more about building longer term partnerships.
Awesome, James. Radhika, I'd like to come to you. I'm not too sure if this might be relevant to you, because this has a lot to deal with product certification and labeling. But at Sustainability Kiosk, is this, since it's a marketplace, how important is it for you to onboard suppliers who have the right paperwork and who are meeting all of the requirements, and I think, like Pooja mentioned, are not just greenwashing or sort of misrepresenting products?
Sorry, I just had that on mute. I think, like I said, sustainability is very contextual. And when you do life cycle analysis of a product, you get to see a lot of different aspects of what's sustainable for you living in Middle East may not be sustainable for someone else living elsewhere. So I think it's very important to keep in mind this underlining factor when you look at sustainability. Look, I have two answers to your question. One, has hospitality? Of course, freight trade is important. And of course, all of these primary, the certifications are looked at, because there is third-party certification that happens, and hospitality and HoReCa industry is audited. So it is relevant to them. And also, coming to the point which James mentioned, local sourcing maybe has a huge role to play in terms of growing the demand, because demand impacts supply. And if there is demand for local products, if there is demand for scale, then the cost of securing the product or sourcing the product comes down. And I think that's where we as an industry can play a huge role in ensuring that at least certain percentage of items available in a restaurant are actually locally sourced. So, you could move that percentage up on a regular basis, but at least start with some. Like mushrooms now, I think after the expo, we've had some farms from the expo taken out, and some of the local entrepreneurs are growing it now. So you have mushrooms locally grown, you have oysters from Dibba Bay, which are locally grown. You have a lot of produce, although it's seasonal, it is available. So I think local sourcing would answer some of the questions about sustainability, organic and natural. That's my one take on hospitality. And when it comes to Sustainability Kiosk and onboarding, I think it's vital. We check for everything. We check for certifications. We check for how the solution answers what we're trying to do in terms of sustainability. So everything is checked for. But like I said, sustainability is contextual. There are some solutions which use water, for instance, and you could argue water is a scarce resource in UAE. So I think you have to take into context what the situation is and what it does. But my one take on my entire 2-minute talk I've given, longer than expected, is demand impacts supply. So let's all demand for more organic, more natural food, and that will only mean we can bring down the cost of acquisition of these products.
Oh, 100%, Radhika. I completely agree with you on that. This also brings me to a very, very important aspect of the whole debate on sustainability, and that is about education. I'm not going to ask you how important is it. We all know it's very important to educate consumers, but I'm going to ask you how important is it to consistently and at every step educate people out there on the importance of sustainability. And I'd like to ask you, as a sustainability lead at Anantara, and as well as an entrepreneur who's very enthusiastic about the whole concept of sustainability and the environment, what sort of initiatives are you taking to educate people out there?
I don't think we've done enough in this. I think it's seriously, we've just scratched the surface. I started doing what I do now because I used to be a commercial manager. But when you actually walk in after the buffet, when you walk into a restaurant or ask a hotel, how much food waste do we have? What do we do with all of the waste that you see in the bins? Then people look at you like, why is a commercial manager asking about food waste? And then you realize there's a big gap between what you think a business should do versus what they're actually doing. And I think that's where, education is lacking. If you as a business actually don't know what's your energy consumption or how much waste you're producing, then I think there's a challenge there that you need to educate yourself. You need to educate employees around you, because without strong employees, people who work for you, you're not going to get the employee enthusiasm to actually passionism, to actually carry the sustainability in operations. Although sustainability is a bug, it's a hard job. It's a job of turning up every day and doing the same thing end to end like any other job. But sustainability is just really and understanding the why to do it. So I think, look, what we're trying to do with Anantara, the reason we got the waste diversion rate up to 50% was, I think, truly the effort of the staff. They've really come up with such amazing initiatives. I mean, we started with waste segregation as one, but it was to the staff to take the waste segregation and take it to a next level. They figured out how to use the soap that they have in-house, how to use it for cleaning back of the house. They figured out how to use the capsules that you have, the coffee capsules, and turn it into a piece of art. So now they can make jewelry. They also can make kids' art in the arts club. So I think it's all down to what, their efforts in doing it, and also in employees actually taking proactive steps to say, okay, we care for it, and what do we do with it? And of course, management also investing. They've also invested in training and providing them right tools, right systems to actually being able to do that. And I think it's only possible when you have one-on-one coming together.
All right, that's wonderful, Radhika. Wonderful to hear. James, I'd like to come to you. What are you doing as Grandiose? To sort of educate your consumers and your shoppers. I know you've constantly been at pushing the ball forward when it comes to sustainability, but what sort of efforts are you taking, and what sort of initiatives are you leading to spread the word better when it comes to sustainability? I think you're on mute, James.
You hear me?
Yep, perfect.
Okay. No, so I'd look at it from two sides. I think, first of all, internally, we do a lot of training to our teams to understand how we can reduce waste and understand how we can manage waste better. So that's in a business like ours, where we have a huge amount of sales in fresh products, so fruits and vegetables, meat, fish. How do we reduce waste in this area, which just makes sense? So, for example, we have a catering business. So as some products are not in grade A condition to sell to customers in our stores, how can we reuse those products in our catering business or in production? How can we manage the way in which we merchandise and present products and manage through the supply chain to reduce waste? So I think internally, that's the first big step that we work on. In terms of how we communicate to the customer, I describe it as trying to keep it simple and trying to keep it easy to understand. I don't think as a retailer, educating customers is quite an arrogant position. I don't think customers come to a grandiose supermarket wanting to be educated and wanting to be told what to do. So what we try and do is communicate in very simple terms and then allow the customers to take decisions. So we put up, for example, next to our supermarket trolleys where we use reusable ocean plastic, we put up very simple statements as to how many sea animals are killed every year through plastic use, through plastic in the oceans. And the idea that we have is by giving a very simple statement to the customer, it allows the customer to decide for themselves. It's a good thing. So for me, it's not so much about educating customers, but making customers think, and then they can take their own decisions, based upon what they're seeing and what they're hearing and their own education about these topics. I think we've got to be careful. We don't sort of pontificate and we don't be arrogant in terms of telling customers what we do. All we can do is we present an option for them, we present some facts, and we hope that they take the right decision, but it should be their decision rather than something we impose. And I think that's a very important fact for our business to not be arrogant in this way, but be more simple and providing that little bit of education to make the customer think. That's how I look at it.
Fair enough, James. I think the way you communicate and the way you put things out, it sort of makes a lot of difference as well. And I think that's the key differentiator between someone, people actually making that sort of a difference. So it's great to hear that's what Grandiose is doing, and definitely looking forward to more of it. Pooja, I'd like to come to you. What sort of responsibility, or what is the responsibility of you as an entrepreneur in the sustainable space? How are you educating your conscious consumers, and how are you constantly at every step guiding them and letting them make the right decision for themselves?
For us, because it's a small business, so social media, little family of, for small businesses, it's a little family environment. We have a lot of us, we follow each other, we learn from each other, and we do what we do consistently. Like Radhika also said earlier, sustainability is doing the same thing every day, but the same right thing every single day. So I make that decision of ensuring that, I do compost, how I am living my life. I'm living a sustainable life. And I show that to my followers, to organic living followers, that see, this is a simple routine that we have. Every morning, the time for the gardening, time for composting, everything, you're washing the lentils or the rice, the water, you save that water that goes into the plants. So little steps, which anybody can adopt if they want to. This is how I show. This is for the direct customers who shop with us online. Now the customers, the businesses, if we receive query that, okay, we are looking for packaging solutions. So it becomes our responsibility to tell them what is available in the market, what are the different options, and what impact it will have on the environment. And then let them choose which one do they want to go for, because everything comes with a cost if we are selling it to a customer. Even if it's a big supermarket, of course, they have their budgets. There's a lot of waste that goes on. So they are already dealing with a lot of things. So as James also said, you can't be arrogant about this. My job as Organic Living, we inform them of all the possibilities which are available in the sustainability world. And then they decide which one works for them in terms of cost effectiveness, in terms of the availability. Sometimes people want something immediately and it may not be available. So then they will go in for what is available in the market, and that could not possibly be sustainable or may not be sustainable. So it becomes a responsibility to educate. If somebody has come for a yoga studio approach, and they are looking for options for yoga mats, So it becomes our responsibility to inform them that, okay, these are the possibilities. And also, please remember, this is how you can maintain them. Because we are living in post-pandemic world where people are much more conscious about their personal hygiene and reusing, everything which is available in a public space. So these are our ways of educating. We inform, the pros and cons of everything, how it impacts, how the price is positioned, and then we leave it for their decision. So there are two ways of informing for me. One is to the businesses, through complete transparency of how things are working, how we are sourcing, how we are making, and what impact it can have. And one is the everyday life that I share with the people of what I do, how I live my life. And we all join in and, we exchange black gold among each other. That's how we do.
Awesome. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Pooja. I think we're absolutely out of time, but I think we have time for a quick last question, and that's about the future. What can Pooja, what can one expect going forward? I mean, where do you see the future when it comes to sustainable, and what sort of products, if you can point out, would help us achieve, or rather, what sort of products do you see would be in most demand in the near future, in the coming months or so?
See, like James pointed out, Radhika pointed out, sustainability is, working with the locals, like what Grandiose is doing, trying to work with the local farms, right? Work with the farms within UAE, because there are so many farms now, amazing vegetables and fruits available with them, and then within the GCC. So if we look at the food consumption side, I think those are the areas which will prosper more. Because people are going to buy that more. So organic food is one of the sectors, I believe, which is going to grow, and hopefully the pricing, because the demand, is going to increase. So supply is going to work very fast for us. So it will be good. In terms of other categories, I think, like I said, packaging is one of the criterias, one of the key categories that will increase, the demand will increase, because everybody is getting into the understanding of sustainable and eco-friendly environment within their space, whether it's a corporate, whether it's a hotel industry, small businesses or big supermarkets or fashion stores. So sustainable packaging is what is going to be in demand. So this is what I would ask, people who are watching, that, if you have solutions for that, this is what would be in demand.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Pooja. Radhika, what are your thoughts on this? How does the future look like when it comes to sustainable? And if you have any products to point out that would be in demand in the future, please do so.
I think it's products made from natural products. And I think natural will be something that will come back again. Like I was talking about hotel amenities earlier, how we are slowly shifting from single-use plastic to actually start working with things made from natural products. Like I think what Pooja was saying, the cork mats, or even these, coming down in terms of bamboo toothbrush, like even tablets. Like it's amazing, actually. I've tried one of those tablets where you literally pop one in the mouth and you rinse and it gives you. So I think that kind of a thing, if we can get to using, which are replenishable, bamboo tissues, these kind of materials will also be in huge demand, I think, coming forward for things which are more natural. And second thing is more of me looking at it from the other end is, look, 60% of UAE population is below 30. So we have a lot of younger generation here. And I think anything that you can do in terms of mobile-friendly, app-friendly things will really help in getting the message out there more. So, it could even be solutions like, I have excess food and I want to get rid of it. Is there something like a discounted loyalty app? Is there something to do with how do I get rid of all this stock? And, education, everything, it has to be catered to this age range if we really want to achieve in terms of what the future demand will come from them. And that's where we need to cater to.
Awesome, Radhika. Thanks for sharing that. I think the future definitely looks bright. And let's all hope that we hopefully look forward to a better future. James, what are your thoughts on this? What are your predictions for the future when it comes to sustainable, and what sort of products, if you would be kind enough in pointing out, would sort of be in demand in the near future?
Suraj, firstly, I'd like to thank both Pooja and Radhika. I learned a lot just listening to people who are really passionate about sustainability and passionate about the topic. And for us to talk to like-minded people is really important to learn and also to understand how we can influence. And from our side and from how we see it, I think food security is a really big issue and a big topic that will become more important in the near term. And I think what's happened with COVID, what's happened with the Russia-Ukraine war, in an environment like UAE, where we don't produce a lot of products locally, we do have a high degree of imports. I think this critical topic will become more important. And for us as a company, that means we need to find local sources. We need to work with local suppliers, and we need to build local collaborations. And as I mentioned earlier, when we're buying from a producer in Europe or Australia, US, Asia, we don't have a great deal of influence. We're not a big player in that discussion. But as soon as we're talking about UAE, we're talking about GCC, we have a much louder voice, and we can work with these suppliers and collaborate to produce product for Grandiose or for the sector, to think about organic, to think about sustainability, to think about reducing plastic and reducing waste. So I really think this food security question will become a critical topic. And for me, the products that will become most important are the truly fresh product, the produce, the fruits, the vegetables, the buying from local farmers, the buying from local agriculture and aquaculture. And this is what we're focusing on. We're focusing on dealing with those local people, helping them to understand what products to grow, how to package, and building collaborations. And I think that's going to be the short, medium term thing that will change. There'll be more collaboration, more working on buying locally, and more understanding of the impact that we make on our carbon footprint and all these elements of sustainability. And I think the government are also going to push us down that direction with food security and food sustainability. And I think that's exactly the right thing for the government to be doing.
Awesome, James. Thank you for sharing that, and definitely looking forward to more local produce and more locally made stuff at supermarkets and other retail outlets. Well, it's been a wonderful discussion. I think time has just flown. We've had a wonderful 90-minute discussion. All of you have really, thank you so much for taking the time out, firstly, to sort of come together, share your thoughts and share your insights. I know it's crazy busy out there, but you still managed to be with us this afternoon. So thank you so much. I'm pretty sure the audience is delighted to have heard from each and every one of you. And I'm pretty sure they'd be taking a lot back from whatever all of you have said. So once again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dear audience,
Thank you, Suraj.
Thank you, Radhika. Thank you, Pooja. Thank you, James. Dear audience, I think we've had a wonderful discussion, and I hope you all have had a lot to learn from whatever was discussed. We are fast approaching the Organic and Natural Products Expo, which is scheduled to take place from the 13th to the 15th of December at the Dubai World Trade Center. And I am eagerly looking forward to meeting you all there in December in Dubai. And our next webinar is scheduled to take place on the 20th of October. And it's a very, very interesting topic, which is on halal and how organic and natural companies can capitalize on the opportunities that lie within the halal ecosystem. So I look forward to meeting you all there once again. And thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for the Organic Majlis session on sustainable living and environment. in eco-friendly products. Dear panelists, thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Suraj. Thank you.
Jane.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Pooja.
you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
It
you.
was wonderful being here.
Thank you,
Likewise,
Dr.
James, it was
Likewise.
wonderful to hear. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'm sure we'll keep in touch again.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Thank
See
you so
you.
much. Thanks.